I'm not happy.
I don't need Elizabeth Warren or the government giving away my money.
Calling Mike Bloomberg an oligarch has implications in this country that I think are unfair and unreasonable.
I care. That's it.
Makes you think of some rich person who got their money off of oil in Russia, who's taking advantage of a broken and dysfunctional system.
Bernie Sanders saying, the country's corrupt, our system's corrupt. Be careful about that language, Bernie. You know, be careful.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
It's like a Sharknado, except with poop.
The Nation, Waldorf Nation. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. It's Wednesday, it's hump day. We got a fun show. So, yes, still more dunking on Donald Trump. I know, the dunk never stops. At some point we'll find someone else to dunk on, but right now there's still too much fun stuff to talk about. As well as Mike Pence. Mike Pence, he's homeless. Oh, sad. Not fun. Not fun for him. We're going to talk about that. Big, massive dunks. Thank you, Tempa Day. big, massive...
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
There we go. All right. I had to do that. Am I feeling a bit better today? Yes, I do. I actually have a little bit more energy. I'm not playing the... You know, I'm not Jeb energy here.
Please clap.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
All right. So, soundboard works. Hey. All right. Anyway. So, yes, we're going to talk about Mike Pence and, of course, the reason that he is couch surfing. Lots of fun. Then we've got CPAC. What's going on with CPAC? CPAC. Huh. It's not funny. No, it's totally funny. Totally funny. Disagree. All right. We also have members that are running away from Mar-A-Lago. That's also fun. Tucker Carlson, of course, being a white nationalist, basically admitting that he's a white nationalist and that his audience is full of white nationalists as well. So that's fun. We'll talk about that. And then GameStonks. What is going on with GameStop? So what's going on and what's the reaction? I'm going to try to explain it the best I can because, you know, it is a little complicated going into stonks, but some people have figured it out and have actually used it to piss off billionaires and hedge funders, and it's awesome. So we're going to talk about that as well towards the end of the show. All right, so before we dive into it, mother kicked Pence out. No. You know what happened, Adrian? The American people kicked Mike Pence out. He's couch surfing. He is. In fact, that's the first story that we're going to talk about. Lots of fun on that one. All right. Anyway, before we dive in, please like and share the stream. Very helpful. We are streaming, of course, on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So share on all these different platforms. Again, that always goes to help the show. Much appreciations to those who do it. Also, other ways to get in touch with the show. Bits on Twitch. and super chats on YouTube. So far, we don't have like access to like anything like that on Facebook yet. So please like our Facebook page. Help us get bigger. We're somewhere around 13,000 likes on Facebook. Help us out. Proud Boy Leader. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. I'm going to talk about that with Anna Kasparian. I think that's a really interesting story. The whole Proud Boys boogaloo stuff, as well as a Proud Boy literally being an FBI informant. So we're going to have the details on that tomorrow, Justin. So tune into that show. I'm very interested to see Anna's take on that and have a discussion as well. All right. Anyway, yes, like I said, Anna Kasparian on the show tomorrow. Should be a very interesting half hour. All right, anyway, let's dive in. Let's do it. I got to get ready for this one. All right. Soundboard. All right. Since the end of the Trump administration earlier this month, former Vice President Mike Pence has stayed off the radar. He has been suspiciously absent from the discussion. Nobody knows where he is. Please, somebody get a milk carton for good old
Mike Pounds.
Yes. Now, that's actually pretty smart, considering how Trump supporters, like the ones who stormed the Capitol, are not exactly happy about, or happy with him or about anything that he had done. In fact, they people that stormed the Capitol were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." So, yeah. Now, that goes to the new report from Business Insider that not only that reports that not only is the former vice president and his wife Karen, also known as Mother, out of power, but they're also out of a home. They've got nowhere to go. Interesting. Imagine that, right? Now, of course, they're not homeless. They're rich. They can buy a home. They could rent a home. They could hotel it in the nicest places imaginable. I mean, honestly, it's not like they don't have a ton of money. They do, of course. Just right now, since leaving the vice president's mansion, they don't know where they're going to live. So that's interesting because it really tells you a lot. All right. Especially since they had since early November in order to find a place to live. And yet they still couldn't do it? Okay, granted, we're in a pandemic, right? So you might think, being in a pandemic, it might be difficult to find a house, right? Well, you would be wrong about that, actually. And kind of surprisingly, because, there's nothing that I've seen that indicates that the housing market isn't, that it's in bad shape. In fact, a lot of news reports have shown that it's actually in fantastic shape. The housing market is actually booming. So there's really no reason for the Pence family to not have a home. In fact, let me go to Lawrence Yun, chief economist at the National Association of Realtors. So he's talking with Housing Wire and said this about, homes in America. Quote, "The buyers are coming in because of low interest rates," which is true. That's the number one reason. The secondary demand is coming from the work-at-home phenomenon that is people looking for bigger homes and caring less about commuting time. So, if you are lucky enough to still have a job and are still doing incredibly well financially, like the Pence family, then apparently the housing market is tremendous. It's never been better, which is a huge disconnect, by the way, compared to the rest of everyone else. All right. So big disconnect going on here. So that said, millions of people facing evictions right now, can't afford rents and bills. And it's really a good example of the two Americas that we have in this country. And yet Pence himself can afford a house, but doesn't actually have it. So that brings a couple of important questions, right? For me, did he really expect to continue living in the vice president's mansion after November 4th? Did he really think that he was going to win at this point? Kind of weird. That said, more details, and they're fantastic. Republicans close to the couple are not exactly sure of their current living arrangements on purpose, but they believe the former second couple is couch surfing at the residences of various Indiana officials. According to one source, the Pences are staying at the dolled-up cabin nearby that the Indiana governor uses as a retreat. If so, they'd need permission to spend the night from Pence's former lieutenant governor, who now serves as governor, Eric Holcomb, reported Tom LaBianco. Two Republicans close to the Pences said that they have heard the former second couple was staying at Pence's brother's place in Columbus. So, where are they? Where's the Pence family? Everybody, this is like a game of Where's Waldo, except you're looking for Mike Pence. Or
Mike Pounds.
Right. So, okay. All right. Now, one thing that everybody seems to be certain of, according to Business Insider, is that when the Pences moved out of the vice president's residence at the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington, they had nowhere to go. The former second couple doesn't actually own a house, which again is super weird. Now, anybody who had been paying attention lately to the Capitol riot knows that this is likely on purpose. The guy is in hiding, okay? In fact, Republicans who spoke with Insider also said that they wondered whether Pence and his team are closely guarding their new domicile because of the wave of death threats he faced just 3 weeks ago. True. The Trump-incited mob that stormed the Capitol earlier this month shouted that they wanted to hang Mike Pence, and that some of the people came within 100 feet of confronting him and his family as they were hurried to a secure location in the Capitol. So this is what happened, right? So this family is scared of the Trumpers, the violent mobs of Trump supporters that now hate him. He is enemy number one because he didn't steal the election for Donald Trump. Oh, that's fascinating. I told you he was going to be one of the most hated Republicans among Trump supporters. And it's true, and it's come true. The report also noted that Pence has essentially been cut off from all contact with the former president, who was enraged by his refusal to overthrow the election during congressional certification, which he didn't actually even have the power to do, to be honest with you. He didn't have they were saying that through their complete lack of understanding how this process works, they're saying, well, Pence could just overturn the whole thing. No, he doesn't actually have that power. But nonetheless, because these people are not very smart and they don't actually know the processes or anything like that, they're essentially idiots, they're morons, okay? They don't understand that Mike Pence couldn't actually overturn the election results through the certification. But they hate him anyway. And they're coming after him. And this has got the Pence family incredibly scared. Wow. Now, Pence, for his part, is reportedly resentful that Trump had put his life in danger. Oh, how the mighty
Mike Pounds
has fallen. It's so good. You love to see it. Not because I actually want Mike Pence's life to be in danger. No, of course not. I actually wish him a safe post vice presidency. But it's to once again kind of hammer home a point, right? That everybody tied to Donald Trump is destined to go down. It's true. I made this prediction, right? And I said that when Donald Trump goes down, one way or the other, it's going to be like a massive black hole. It's going to suck up everybody who is connected to the Trumps, and who still profess loyalty to the Trumps, is either going to get burned or going to get in major legal trouble. And so we've seen this. Michael Cohen, Rudy Giuliani, who's facing lawsuits and legal trouble from the Southern District of New York, and now, of course, Mike Pence, and basically everybody who helped Donald Trump either destroy the country or and did crimes along with it, or at least sat back and let all of this happen. And look, Mike Pence did this to himself. This is self-inflicted. This is why I don't feel bad for him, okay? In the pursuit of power, he allied with a terrible person and is now dealing with the consequences. Understand, though, no victim. He's not a victim. He's no victim. I don't feel sorry for him. None of you should feel sorry for this guy, or for anyone who is now facing the consequences of their actions. They fucked around, and guess what? They finding out. All right. So I'm having like some audio problems in my earpiece. So what I need to do is I am going to take a quick break. I'm gonna see if I can fix that because I've got some video clips for you, and I want you to actually be able to hear them. So that's what we're gonna do. Stay right here. We'll come back. I'll fix this this little tech issue, and we've got more show. So stay right here around the nation.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Don't you want to please me?
I like my meat tight. Tighten up my meat.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Around the Nation right here, Waldorf Nation. Hopefully that works. I just wanted to make sure, again, the audio issues. It sucks when I forget to charge my earpiece. So that sucks. But anyway, again, glad it works. Glad it works. Actually, you know, I have a Tucker Carlson segment. I should have tested that too. Yeah, you probably can't hear that. So I'm going to,
Because we heard terror.
that. Oh boy. Yep. That's all right. We'll mess with that later. And hopefully I can get that to work later on after I let this thing charge. But anyway, all right. Let's do it. Let's go to CPAC. I'll just push that segment towards the end of the show and try again. Did I have it for a split second? Did I? Did I? Almost had it. Almost had it. All right. Next story, go. It appears that the annual CPAC gathering is having a few problems. Now, according to a new report from Politico, the annual conservative gathering is facing the loss of sponsors, speakers, as well as even attendees. So people aren't going to show up. So you got sponsors that are pulling out. You got people that are not going to be there. And you've got speakers that are also not going to speak there. So that's fun. So now, let me go to Politico here. And by the way, CPAC is saying, you're trying to cancel us. No, it appears that you guys are canceling yourselves. Or at least when it comes to, that are people that are supposed to speak there and go there and sponsor the event. So let me get into the details, all right? So normally held at Washington, D.C., which allowed the conference to attract an all-star list of Republican lawmaker as well as speakers, including now former President Donald Trump, the conference was moved to Florida to be closer to Trump and because of Florida's lax COVID restrictions. Again, remember that they literally, legitimately believe that Donald Trump was going to win the election. And let's be fair, until COVID happens, or I should say happened, I would say it was more likely for Donald Trump to actually have won the election. That said, COVID happened, Donald Trump lost the election, and then, of course, it moved to Florida, like I said. And now CPAC is trying to figure out what their next moves are. And so let me read more. President Donald Trump's election loss has created hurdles around programming and guest booking, stringent coronavirus guidelines, the thing that they don't actually believe in and isn't actually happening. Turns out that's having an impact here. These guidelines in Maryland have pushed the conference outside of Washington, D.C. for the first time in nearly 50 years. Previous sponsors, as a result, are yet committed or have decided to forego sponsorship entirely due to the changes to the event's format or disappointment in the return on their investment last year. Yes. And the president that attendees adored so much may not show up at all. Fun. Apparently, Trump, as I said, has not committed to attending this year. Vice President Mike Pence, also not going to show up because, most Trump supporters want him dead. Yeah. So, sad days for Mike Pounds, who's in hiding right now.
Mike Pounds.
Yeah. Not good for him. So there's more. Sponsorships. Sponsors have run away. Politico previously reported that sponsors are having second thoughts and that the annual conference was having some difficulties. The Politico report adds that last year, organizers were forced to warn nearly 100 conference goers of the potential exposure to the virus, the one that I mentioned that they don't think exists. And though only one actual case ended up being traced to the event last year, fears of COVID-19 exposure among speakers and attendees has increased. Sad. There's more. As for this year's sponsors, some of whom spent as much as $250,000 in past years for exclusive benefits and branding opportunities, several said they were still evaluating the benefits or decided not to sponsor at all due to mediocre returns on the investment or changes to the conference structure. Griffin Editions operation manager Michael Hawkins said his company did not plan to sponsor the conference after being informed that the CPAC bookstore, which has been set up for attendees in the past years, would no longer be available due to COVID-19 precautions. But wait, I thought they were doing this in Florida. So they didn't have to take any precautions for coronavirus. Interesting. Laura Marriott, president of the anti-abortion group nonprofit Save Unborn Life, said her group didn't get much response from donors last time after paying between $1,000 to $3,000 for a sponsorship and creating a pop-up exhibition. She said, quote, "It doesn't pay for itself when you go and set up and you don't get enough new donors to make it worthwhile." Oh, sad baby. I guess literally, because it's a so-called pro-life group. Fun. It's almost as if conservatives really aren't pro-life. Weird. They're just not worried about this. Like, man, if I just didn't get my return on investment, it means these lives are just not paying. They're just not worth paying for this, you know? Oh, sad. As for past sponsors, the Washington Examiner, the RNC, the Republican National Committee is thinking about not doing this, or at least is not committed. And then Turning Point USA, Heartland Institute, and Save Our States said they have yet to make a decision as of last week about sponsoring again. You guys remember when CPAC used to be like hot shit for Republicans, right? Used to be a big deal, right? Big crowds, all that stuff. Well, it turns out that at least in the most recent years, they're only there for Donald Trump, and therefore really only there for the spectacle. And unfortunately now, for them, with Donald Trump out of the picture, and him probably not going, I mean, look, he could surprise CPAC and show up, which would inevitably draw a crowd. But that's the problem. That's pretty much the only thing that would draw a crowd at this point. That's the whole problem with the Republican Party, is that the party has turned into the party of Trump. And that's really it. They're a cult of personality now. They don't really have a core, like a core identity outside of this guy. And understand too that, and I've said this before, that he is basically the end result. Someone like him is the end result of Republican policy. Okay? And basically the conservative movement. A rich narcissist who is, anti-LGBTQ+, okay? Who is, racist, sexist, misogynistic, xenophobic. He is the end result, and 100% greedy. And so, not only that, but deeply stupid and unqualified. And that's it. And that is who they put up. That's who Republicans look at. The dumbest person to have ever held office, at least in modern times. They look at that guy and they say, that's our guy. We'll only show up for him. But if he's not there, nobody shows up. So it's all about him. It's all about celebrity. I mean, again, you could go to some of the rallies. I showed you pictures of some of the saddest Trump rallies, Stop the Steal rallies after the election, right? Where like 2 people would show up. Why? Because he's not there. Same thing with CPAC. Nobody's going to show up because Donald Trump's not there. And so they don't care about policy. Their policies have always been the same. Give more rich people money, or give rich people more money. That's it. It's nothing more than a money funneling scheme to the donors, to the richest Americans, from the rest of us. And that's really it. Cult of personality. The Republican Party is a cult of personality. And so that's what's going on. CPAC is very, very sad. It's going to be very sad and empty this year. But you know what? That's good, because it kind of means that we're winning. All right. More stuff. It appears that former President Donald Trump's resort is losing bigly. Now, following his loss and failed coup attempt, Donald Trump has returned to Florida, to Mar-A-Lago, where he's living. So he doesn't really have anywhere else to go. He no longer lives in New York. Now, the weird thing about that is, of course, he actually is not legally permitted to live at Mar-A-Lago. He signed a agreement with the city that he would not be there, I think, more than 20 days at a time. And so that puts them in the interesting position of either, waiving their own agreements that Trump had signed or kicking out a former president. So that's always fun, right? And if that happens, if they have to drag him out of Mar-A-Lago, well, then I'm going to watch while eating popcorn. And that is a promise to you. So anyway, now, that said, with Trump living there full time, that's got a lot of members that are not happy about this. Okay? So now, the resort appears to be, according to reports, hemorrhaging members. It's almost as if people don't want to associate with the two-time loser and his stupid, disgusting resort. I mean, remember, the health inspection records show that Mar-A-Lago had been cited 78 times for violations, health violations. That included chefs handling food without gloves, without washing their hands, dirty cutting boards, dirty kitchen, soiled, cutters soiled with food debris, rusty shelves, accumulations of black-green mold inside of ice machines, just all sorts of disgusting violations. Also, parasites. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. Parasites. Yum. Delicious. So now, anyway, as I said before, he's living at Mar-A-Lago. And since he's living there, his other members no longer want access to that. They no longer want to be part of it. And by the way, remember when Donald Trump had first become president, he actually raised membership fees to over $200,000 a year. But now they don't want to pay that to be close to Donald Trump because, well, Donald Trump has no power. And also, for another interesting reason, an author of a book on the Florida resort says that the mood has become, quote, dispirited, and that the people have been canceling their memberships. Author Lawrence Leamer talks to MSNBC and tells him, quote, I've talked to a bunch of people in the last couple of days. A lot of people have quit Mar-A-Lago. I've talked to a bunch of people. I'm sorry, I just read that quote. He also remarked that members were leaving over concerns that they might be featured in newspaper articles, and also that Trump's declining popularity has turned them off. Quote, they don't want anything to do with Donald Trump. Many of the members, they're not going there very often because it's a very dispirited place. It's a sad place for Trump to be hanging out. It's not what it was. Also, sad baby. You love to see it, don't you? Again, they were only there because he was president, he had power, and they wanted access. So they literally, and this is insane, that we as a country do this, okay, allow this to happen. And that the Supreme Court has thrown out emoluments. And I know it has to do with foreign emoluments, but their argument for that is just incredibly silly. Well, he's not out of power, so he's not in power anymore, so it doesn't matter that he accepted money from foreign governments in order to have those governments get access to him. But this is the same thing, except without it being foreign governments. It's just people paying membership that goes into his pockets to a club in order to get access. I remember when the guy with the nuclear football was at Mar-A-Lago and he was photographed with the nuclear football. How many people signed up just to get access to the president? That is how sick and disgusting our system is. All right? But at the same time, you love to see it. You love to see these people now go, we don't want anything to do with you. We never wanted anything to do with you. In fact, we always didn't like you, and now you're not getting our money anymore. Sad baby. In fact, Leamer added later, they're walking away from him. Even here, people don't like him. People don't like him. And why would anybody like him, honestly? He's a terrible person. Narcissistic, mean, just a real general a-hole. Nobody wants to be around that. And some people want to be around it only because of access to levers of power. But generally, as a person, he's incredibly unlikable. And not only that, too, but there's another article about this. Apparently, nobody in Palm Beach wants to be around his fans, who seem to be causing trouble. In fact, Palm Beach County Democratic Party Secretary Sophia Nelson talked to TMZ. I know it's TMZ, right? But still, here's what she said, quote, "She and others have already seen changes in town, especially near Trump properties, where upwards of 100 supporters have been gathering daily to show their love since Donald Trump's arrival last week. She calls them, quote, verbally violent." So they're going and basically harassing people in that area because it's a Democratic county, okay? Palm Beach actually went massively for Joe Biden during the election, and it generally goes for Democrats. Now, the city of Palm Beach did go for Donald Trump, but overall, Palm Beach County is solidly blue. And so there it is. And again, these people come in, these Trump supporters, and they just harass people all day while holding up signs like, "We love Trump, we still love Trump, we love you, Mr. Trump." But they're like the only ones, and nobody wants to be around or be associated with these sad hangers-on. Oh, so sad. So sad. Not only that, but they also don't want to be associated with what they consider to be the rabble, right? And again, these are the same people, the ones that the hangers-on are the ones that would have stormed the Capitol for Trump, might have actually stormed the Capitol for Trump. And so maybe some of them are going to be arrested. Because nobody in their right mind is going to want to associate with these people. They just don't. And it's what I said before. Trump wanted to be part of the elite, right? And when he had power, the elite were like, "Oh, let me just suck up to you," right? So I can get like what I want, and they largely did. They got tax cuts, they got deregulation, they got pretty much everything that they wanted by paying this money to be part of Mar-A-Lago. And now that he can't give them anything, they abandoned him like a hot potato. All right, no power, no goodwill, nothing. There's nothing left for him. In fact, his approval ratings are absolute garbage. His brand is toxic, and he's going broke. And yet the Republican Party, by the way, and this is like the saddest part of this, okay? The Republican Party still has their wagon hitched to this guy. They still do, because of his insane fans. In fact, it is very, very likely that the Senate will not vote to impeach, but will actually acquit Donald Trump, allowing him to run in 2024. 45 Republicans in the Senate are saying that no, we're not going to convict Donald Trump. Meaning, again, since he's already out of power, it just means that he loses some of his presidential benefits, but also cannot run in 2024, which is an interesting choice, given how unpopular and how disastrous his first term actually was. So, there you go. That's it. It shouldn't be any surprise, though, to Republicans, or to, the fact that Republicans are still supporting this loser. Republicans are great at supporting losing causes. After all, these are the same people that still fly Confederate flags. The symbol, the ultimate symbol of losers. Sad, baby. All right. So I'm gonna switch around the order here. I was gonna do the Tucker Carlson story, but I need the videos for it. I need for y'all to hear the video. So I'm gonna switch it around. We're gonna do GameStonks. So this should be interesting. Let's get into the wild ride. And then after I'm done with this story, I'll read super chats or anything like that. Maybe take some comments here as well, and then we're gonna see if about getting that final story done. All right, let's do it. So there's an interesting story that is blowing up social media, and that is, of course, GameStonks. So it's let me be honest with you. This is complicated. I'm going to do my best here. I'm not a financial expert, but understand I still want to talk about the story because really at its core, it's shit posting at best, right? At its finest. And really a good illustration of how the stock market is completely divorced from the real world. It's a fantastic example. So let's do this. All right. So GameStop, y'all know GameStop, okay? I'm kind of old school. So I remember going to GameStop and actually buying physical games before we had, direct downloads and things like that. And so you'd go in, and I also remember trading in games where, you get like a newish or new game, and they're like, we'll give you $5 for it to trade it in. And then they mark it up to like $35, $40. So that's GameStop for you. All right. So now GameStop has not been doing very well. This is pre-pandemic. Okay. Because again, with digital downloads, it just hasn't been very popular going into brick and mortar places that do charge inflated prices and things like that. So anyway, the pandemic hits, and it gets even worse because they're a brick and mortar store. So their stock prices are incredibly low. In fact, it's around $4, or it was around $4. But lately, it has jumped from about $4 a share to over $250, over $300 a share. What happened? It's not because they made any new investments. It's not because they hit sales goals. It's not because they have done really anything to change their fortunes. What happened, actually, is the result of Reddit shit posters and the internet. It's okay, it's amazing. So now, the fact that this has happened has made Wall Street cry and cry and cry. And it is so, so good. I love it. As Kotaku explains, in March of 2019, Reddit user Delaney DI outlined a case for why GameStop was actually worth more than what the stock market is saying. So now, right now, the stock market, as I said, is flipping out because they had a lot of bets on short sales. I'll get into that later on. But here's a quick little timeline. And again, this is a real quick abridgment because a lot of stuff actually happened. Later that year, there's a hedge fund operator, Michael Burry, who managed to make a lot of money betting on the 2007 housing collapse. In fact, that's the guy who was featured in The Big Short about the housing crisis. He actually bought 3% of the company when stock was worth less than $5 a share. So he's got money in this, and he's like, all right, yes, I think that we shouldn't just short all the stock on GameStop. I think we can do better. I think it can do better. All right. Now, what is a short sale, though? Well, a short sale is basically defined as a transaction in which an investor sells borrowed securities or stock in anticipation of a price decline. The seller is then required to return an equal number of shares at some point in the future. So you you go and borrow the stock, right? So if you're an investor, you're a hedge funder, right? Then you go and sell the stock at a higher price, and then you buy the stock back at a lower price and return it to the seller, to the lender. So again, this gets a little complicated, and I think I might have messed it up. But understand, if the stock drops after selling it, the short seller buys it back at a lower price and returns it to the lender. Okay. And now if the price goes up, then you as a short seller have to buy it back at a higher price in order to return it to the seller, which means you just spent more money. That is bad. And so basically, as a short seller, you are betting on the stock losing money because that's how you gain money. And that, again, will make you money because you bet that your bet was right. All right. So now if you're thinking that this is confusing and a bunch of fuckery, then you are absolutely correct. Because it is confusing and it is fuckery. But it is fuckery that people have figured out. Okay. Now that's where Reddit comes in. Now these Redditors, so let's fuck with the fuckery. and make some cash. And then, of course, do it for the lulz. So now on the subreddit, Wall Street Bets, a user named Deep Effing Value got into the market by investing some money in GameStop, bought some stocks, right? So that person made some money and then talked about it in the subreddit. All right. And it's like, hey, yeah, let's invest in stocks, right? Now, by the following April, a Reddit user called Senior Hedgehog was pointing out that GameStop stock was one of the most shorted on the market, meaning that most hedge funds and investors have been betting against GameStop stock. They're basically saying that, we don't think the stock, we're going to make bets that the stock does not increase in price, and we're going to put money on it. All right, there you go. So now they had the potential, apparently, since it was so shorted and that everybody was betting against it, it actually had the potential to set up something called a short squeeze. As Kotaku explains, basically a stock is shorted as GameStop's, meaning it has a lot of money, bet on it failing, has the potential to create a feedback loop if it rises, allowing an army of small investors trading handfuls of individual shares using an app like Robinhood to send the stock increasing in value. And of course, that's exactly what happened. It started increasing in value and got a huge boost actually when co-founder of online pet food seller Chewy, Ryan Cohen, announced that he and two of his allies would then buy into GameStop and take seats in the company's board. At some point, even Elon Musk gets involved. So, I mean, it starts getting crazy. And after that, Wall Street Bets, the subreddit, their users started heavily investing in this. Following that, by January 22nd, GameStop stock was closing at an all-time high of $65. Now, on the following Monday, it increased to $77. And of course, you had ups and downs from investing, right? But at the end of that, you have over $300 a share. And that's it. $300 a share. And that, of course, got hedge funds. One of the major hedge funds, which was doing the short selling, who bet on GameStop stocks being so low and trading at less than $5 a share, like Melvin Capital, well, one of the largest hedge funds betting against the company has lost a lot of money. That firm, that was worth about $12.5 billion before this began, lost 30% of its fund. Gone. It's disappeared. That's it. And that's what happens. That's billions of dollars in speculative sales. Gone. Other billionaires, by the way, have come in. It's two different hedge funders, two different billionaires, have each loaned over $2 billion to Melvin Capital to prevent them from going under. Wow. But it might be too late, by the way. Business Insiders reported that GameStop short sellers have lost about $5 billion betting against the stock in 2021, according to S3 Partners. Owned. These people just got owned by Redditors who finally figured out how to play the market game the same way that they've been doing. Oh, and they're so pissed. They're pissed. And I love it. Now, again, if you're saying that this is market manipulation, you're absolutely correct. But it's the same kind of market manipulation that they have done, that these same hedge funds have done the entire time. It's just never been done by regular people in such a way. And that's why these companies who hate regulation normally, right? They balk at regulation. Oh, regulation, no, that's going to hurt the markets. That's going to hurt investment. Now these same companies are screaming for the SEC to actually do something. Like, oh my God, SEC, you got to stop these Redditors. Oh my God, because they're killing my stonks. Really? Now, of course, that's unlikely to happen because of, ironically, deregulation. Ah, yes, deregulation. And the fact that the SEC is suffering from functional paralysis thanks to Republicans. I've talked about this before. Republicans on the SEC don't want to do anything. They don't want to regulate. They don't want to do enforcement. They've never wanted to do anything. They're just like, let the markets decide. Well, okay. Hey, you get what you asked for. You get what you deserve, because that's what's happening. And again, even if they do, it's because of their buddies losing, money in the stock market. And that's it. But what do you do about this? What, do you ban regular people from exploiting the same tricks the big companies do, the big hedge funders do? I don't think they're going to do that. Of course not. As James Cox, a professor at Duke University School of Law, told Bloomberg, quote, "It's an enforcement nightmare for the SEC." Yes, rich people lost money and they mad. Basically the whole story. It's true. It's true. Now, I'm going to be honest. I think this whole thing is hilarious. And that's, besides articles like that are saying, and I love this. I'm just going to read just the headline of this. This is from Market Watch, okay? By Jeremy Owens. Opinion: stop laughing about GameStop's stock mania. No, really. It's not funny. You're right, it's not funny. It's hilarious. I love it. It's so good. It's so good. Look, and here's the thing. This really shows how the stock market is pure fantasy. It's just made up. Like, it's completely divorced from Main Street. It's not, it's just making bets. It's a casino. And I don't know, maybe we shouldn't be basing our entire economic system off this completely contrived casino that could be so easily manipulated. It's just a thought. So now a lot of people weighed in, and I love this, right? Here's Jordan Ewell. Seeing a lot of people laughing about the GameStop Reddit stock thing, and yeah, I understand why you might think that's funny that a hedge fund goes under, but what if it was your hedge fund that they were doing it to? Not so funny then, huh? By the way, for those of you who are not familiar with Jordan Ewell, that is complete satire, so he's being sarcastic, which is fun. More, haha, hedge fund manager can go on Squawk Box and tell everyone why they're short GameStop and why you should also be, and they're called investing geniuses, but if you post on Reddit, but GME, which is the thing for GameStop, I forget what they call that, to the moon, fellow idiots, that is concerning to regulators. Now the Biden administration is looking into this. They're like, we are watching the GameStop situation very, very closely. I swear to God, if Biden does a bailout, torches, pitchforks. I'm just saying. More. The stock market is just an MMORPG for rich people. Hashtag stonks. Another person says, there's something pleasurable about watching a bunch of people wearing virtual Guy Fawkes masks, crippling hedge funds. Love it. And a Kasparian mentions, so market manipulation by Federal Reserve pumping money into failing banks and corporations is okay, which, by the way, is all they did during this pandemic. There was what? Over $3 trillion in liquidity that was put to the banks while they're arguing about sending us a $1,400 check. It's ridiculous how much our economy, our economic system has favored the stock market versus actual living human beings. Yes, they should have given us the $2,000. You know what they also should have done? Given us $2,000 a month retroactive to the start of the pandemic. Instead, all that money went to stocks. And that's not counting all the money that also went to stocks earlier during the Trump administration and even before, during the bailouts under Obama and Bush. So yes, we have given corporations and bankers and hedge funders basically everything. And now suddenly they're upset, which is funny because I didn't see any of these people that are upset now over this being upset over the 2008 financial crisis, when millions of people were losing their homes as a result of stock fuckery. But now, now they're all super, super salty about this because now regular people have figured out how to play the market the way that you did. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hazan. Good old Hazan. Is this. Remember, a hedge fund can drive a stock price of an already suffering business directly into the ground by aggressively shorting it, which is what they were trying to do to GameStop, which, by the way, then you would have predatory companies. You remember the Bain Capital that was owned by Mitt Romney would go and basically pick the corpse of these companies, right, and sell them off piece by piece to other investors and then make a ton of money doing that. That's what was going to happen to GameStop. Well, not anymore. He adds, but if you decide to push and drive that stock price back up collectively and raid a hedge fund, then you are engaging in something that's bad. Well, according to them, you are. Absolutely. Another person adds, hedge fund managers own yachts with helipads because they shift imaginary money around in spreadsheets all day, while people who do real work struggle to pay the rent. True. And this is the best one here. Comes from Yashar Ali. I like this one, where he simply says, how dare you manipulate the market I've been manipulating? True. True. Absolutely love it. All right. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back. Hopefully we've got enough charge from my headset so I can play the video for you all. And then we'll round out the show with some super chats and comments and stuff. Stay right here. We'll be back in a minute. Round the Nation.
Listen to America's new Grand Inquisitor, Adam Schiff of California.
I will eat your ass.
I like my meat tight. Tighten up my meat.
Masturbate all day long.
Welcome back to the show. Round the Nation right here, Waldorf Nation. Jeff Waldorf here with you. All right, so got it working. Got it working. No Tucker, please. Oh no, I'm gonna trash Tucker. So sorry, not sorry. Let's do it. Oh. Fox host Tucker Carlson is big mad that Democrats want to crack down on white nationalism. And in a recent segment, he railed against Representative Adam Schiff for trying to do just that. So now I'm going to show you some video here. This is first him railing against Adam Schiff. He's going to show a video of him urging the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security to look into white nationalists. Okay, so to look at domestic terrorism from right-wing groups, which we seem to have a problem with in this country. But yet Tucker Carlson is going to tell you exactly who his viewers are. Let's take a look.
Equity and inclusion means that you will believe what they tell you to believe, period, or else you're a terrorist, and they can hurt you, because we hurt terrorists. Listen to America's new Grand Inquisitor, Adam Schiff of California.
We have been urging for some time that the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security raise the priority to domestic terrorism, to white nationalism as it threatens the country. And we're going to continue sounding the alarm and make sure that they're devoting the resources, the time, the attention, just as we did after 9/11 to the threat from international terrorism. We need to give the same priority and urgency to domestic terrorism.
Got that? vote the wrong way, and you are a jihadi. You thought you were an American citizen with rights and just a different view, but no, you're a jihadi. And we're going to treat you the way we treated those radicals after 9/11, the way we treated bin Laden. Get in line, pal. This is a war on terror. Keep in mind, as you listen to people talk like this, and Adam Schiff is far from the only one, keep in mind, they're talking about American citizens here. They're talking about you.
Hey, look, he knows. He knows his audience. All right. So now, is white supremacy and nationalism a problem in this country? Absolutely. It's killed far more Americans domestically than Islamic fundamentalists. All right. White nationalists, far-right militias, Boogaloo Boys, Proud Boys, all of them, they all employed violence and are responsible for people dying, for people's deaths. They also don't want immigrants in this country. They're not working class. They don't like LGBTQ plus people or anti-fascists. They hate anti-fascists because guess what? They're fascists. And many of them have been trying to attempt to push America into a race war. And guess what? If they're saying that they're on your side, it's a very good chance that they're actually lying to you about it. Yeah, I know. Lying to try to boost their ranks and rehabilitate their image. Who would have known? But then here's Tucker Carlson basically admitting that he has white supremacists that watch his show. And why wouldn't they, of course? It's all dog whistles and fake populism, wrapped up, of course, in anti-immigrant fervor. I mean, again, his shtick, his anti-corporate populist shtick is based on a couple of things. So let me explain this, all right? So for one, he's against corporations because they've realized that they've actually realized that it's more profitable to appeal to more people. Who would have known, right? It turns out if you broaden your customer base to just more than white people, you're going to make money. Weird. That's why he's always attacking woke, so-called woke companies and big tech, right? Now, do I have a problem with tech companies? Yeah, I do have a problem with tech companies. I think that we should break them up. I think we should make them more competitive by using antitrust measures in order to enforce competition. So if you want to make that argument, like, hey, technology companies like Twitter, Facebook, they're too big and we should use some antitrust, oh, I'm totally with you on that, all right? But that's not why Tucker Carlson is against tech companies. No, it's because they've turned out that they've realized that it's more profitable to appeal to more people than white nationalists. So in reality, as I said before, it's not that any of these companies actually give a shit about social justice, about these movements. It's that they capitalize on them. It's almost as if we live in a system called capitalism that allows you to capitalize and make money off things. Weird. But they don't care about social justice. They just want you to buy their soft drinks. All right? And so it's sort of the opposite of get woke, go broke, because these companies are raking it in. And of course, that makes conservatives big mad because they're not the target demo anymore. They're not feeling catered to. They're not feeling special by these companies, only appealing to them. So now they're actually showing diverse couples, LGBTQ plus folks, black people on their ads. They no longer feel singular and special like the snowflakes that they are, the white snowflakes that they are. And it hurts their little fifis. And that's what it does. It hurts their fifis, right? Now, the second thing about his populist shtick is that while he will correctly identify problems, and I think a lot of us are very cognizant of the problems that are facing America right now, his solutions usually boil down to, let's kick out the immigrants. It's true. In fact, he has suggested that immigrants are making the U.S. dirtier and poorer when we know that's not the reality. So let me show you this video of him saying just that. And I do need to adjust the sound.
Of people with high school educations or less. Nice people, no one doubts. Obviously, we need more scientists and skilled engineers, but that's not what we're getting. Instead, we're getting waves of people with high school educations or less. Nice people, no one doubts that, but as an economic matter, This is insane. It's indefensible, so nobody even tries to defend it. Instead, our leaders demand that you shut up and accept this. We have a moral obligation to admit the world's poor, they tell us, even if it makes our own country poorer and dirtier and more divided.
Dirtier, poorer, and more divided. Immigration. No, there are multiple studies showing that actually immigrants are better for the country. But again, he's basically saying we shouldn't let poor people in. So, by the way, Tucker, do you hate poor people? I thought you were for the working common person. Now you're saying we need more elite people into this country. We need to only let in the elite people, which means the white people. Why don't more white elite people come here? We don't need the poors, but I am the standard bearer for the white working class, for the working man. Did I say white? I didn't mean white. Come on. That's who Tucker Carlson is. And in fact, he even used a white nationalist website on air and had shown this graphic. So you can see, Congresswomen of color. And yet, here you have, we have to fight to preserve our nation and heritage. That's about as close to the 14 words as you can get without actually saying the 14 words. You know what those are. Tucker knows who, Tucker knows this, and he knows who he is, and he knows who watches him, he knows who butters his bread. He's not an idiot. No. He's actually thought this out. But what he is a virulent racist and white nationalist. Now, if you're on the left and you think that you can ally with this guy, you might be an idiot because you don't realize that he's not your friend. White supremacists, white nationalists, and yes, even fascists are not your friend. Boogaloo boys are not your friend. They would actually see your LGBTQ plus friends, your black friends, your Hispanic friends, Asian friends, dead before they give you anything like, for example, Medicare for all. That's a fact. So, no, let's not ally ourselves with the extreme right. Let's not have a brown-red alliance. I'm not interested in pairing up with these people who may correctly identify the problems, but are so wrong when it comes to their so-called solutions. All right. That's it. That's all I got. I think I'm fairly clear about where I stand on that. All right. So before I get out for the day, for one, people on Twitch, we're gonna raid. We're gonna raid another channel. So I'm gonna set that up here pretty soon. But I first want to read a couple of super chats here. Mark Davis says, how much longer until normal people can't buy stocks? It'll be done indirectly, like regulating trading apps out of existence or something similar. That is a very good question. Because they're looking at this going, regular people have figured out the game. Oh, shit. Uh-oh. Not good. We got to do something about it. And then Sarchek says, I remember when you only had 1,000 subscribers. Nice to see you blow up. Thanks for all you do. This has been a really good month for us. Not to toot my horn, but we've actually gained about 10,000 subs. Thank you, all of you, new subscribers, for joining, for subbing to the channel, for sharing and liking our content. Much appreciated. Like you don't even know. It's amazing. Thank you so much for that. Much appreciated. All right. Anyway, 3.6 million views this month too. So thank you so much for all of you. Much appreciated. Let's see. A couple things here. Establishment tool. Oh, Jessica. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? All right. Anyway, let's get out of here. Thank you all. Love you. Remember, Anis Kasparian on the show tomorrow from 4 to 4:30 p.m. EST. So we're going to do some stories with her. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you all. Love you guys. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you all later. Oh, what about Mike Pence? We did the Mike Pence story earlier. So you'll have to catch it in the rewind or on the clips. So, yes, we're going to rate in. So let's do that.
Amazing.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
I have not loved this conversation.
There's some whores in this house.
I like my meat tight.
Burbicia, they say, pronounce it Burbicia, a real beautiful company.
Please clap. They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.